Sony used to have two different subscription services for the PlayStation. Now it just has one, but that one has three different tiers or three different prices, so yes, still kind of confusing. That's okay, we're gonna go over PlayStation Plus, the new PlayStation Plus, and see which one of these tiers that you, if you happen to have a PlayStation 5 or even a PlayStation 4, should probably be subscribing to. A problem started many years ago when Sony with the PlayStation and Microsoft with the Xbox, they realized that once you bought the console, if you weren't buying games on a regular basis, that was kind of it as far as your commercial relationship with the company went. So they said, we need some recurring subscription revenue. So let's take some stuff that people really need and kind of hide it behind a paywall. And the main thing they did behind the paywall initially was online multiplayer gaming. So if you wanted to play Call of Duty with other people online, you had to subscribe to Xbox Live or, the PlayStation equivalent of that, which was PlayStation Plus. And that gave you that online access. Over time, both of these companies really sweetened the pot by adding more and more stuff to their subscription services. Right now, Xbox Game Pass is what they call the service that has the online gameplay, the big catalog of games, a couple of extra free games per month, and a few other things. Now, Sony, during this time, has had PlayStation Plus, which also gave you a couple of free games to add to your catalog every month, and you would keep access to those games as long as you were a paying subscriber, and the online gameplay and some discounts and a few other things. But then they also had PlayStation Now, which was a cloud-based subscription service that was a totally separate subscription you had to pay for, and that gave you access to mostly older games that would cloud stream. Frankly, their cloud streaming has never been that great because it's based on some older technology from a company they bought years ago. That's a whole other story. But it was still confusing. Which one do I want? Plus, Now? Do I get them both? Do I get a discount if I subscribe to both? The answer was always no. Well, now Sony has gotten rid of Now. They basically folded it into the new PlayStation Plus, but PlayStation Plus now has three different tiers. There's the Essential, the Extra, and the Premium. Now, just to get out of the way, Essential is $10 a month, Extra is $15, and Premium is $18, and there are discounts if you get, a full year subscription. Now, what do you get for each one? This is where we got to dive into the details a little bit. I'm going to actually pop over here to PlayStation Plus, and I'm going to go down and see what all the benefits are. I'm going to scroll all the way over to Start. Let's go over to Essential. The real stuff to keep in mind for Essential, and each tier up includes that stuff plus the stuff from the tiers before. Obviously, cloud storage, that's really big if you have a PlayStation at home and one in another room or one at work, maybe like I do. Whichever it is, if you want to share your saves via the cloud so you can log in from another system, you need cloud storage. Xbox does something similar. Frankly, on the PC side, Steam does that for free. They don't charge anything extra for that or for multiplayer gaming. The next most important thing is online multiplayer. Obviously, that's a big part of gaming these days, and most of the time you need this in order to do any kind of competitive or multiplayer online gaming. There are a few exceptions, like on the Xbox now, you can play free-to-play games online without being a subscriber, like Fortnite, but that's the exception rather than the rule. Some exclusive stuff, little add-ons for games. I'm never that excited about that. Discount if you buy stuff directly from their online store. Xbox offers something similar. Monthly games. That's really the key other feature of the Essential Pack, and that goes back to the original PlayStation Plus. They pick like 2, maybe 3 games a month, and if you get to them during that month, you can add them to your catalog. If you missed them, you missed them, but if you add them to your catalog, they stay there. Again, as long as you're a paying subscriber. If you leave the program, you don't have access to those games anymore. Sometimes it's really good ones, sometimes it's kind of lame ones. Now, if you have a PlayStation 5, even as part of the Essential subscription, you do get this PlayStation Plus collection, which is actually pretty neat. It's like their mini version of Xbox Game Pass before they had the bigger version that they have now. And I'm going to just pop into it and show you kind of what's in here. And this is only on PS5, and it's a pretty nice collection. You got the most recent God of War game. Fallout 4 is always fun. I love stuff like Detroit Become Human. A nice little collection there. Not something I would pay a tremendous amount of extra money for, but it's included even in the $10 a month version. So that's the Essential. That's $10 a month, and if you were a traditional PlayStation Plus subscriber and you just want to keep the same level of service, that's basically what this is. Now, they really want you to trade up to the extra level of service, which is the closest analogy to Xbox Game Pass, regular Xbox Game Pass. That's because Once you move up to Extra, you get the game catalog, which again, like Xbox Game Pass, is a big catalog of games. I think there's almost 400 games in there now that you can download and play on your PS4 or your PS5, and there's some good stuff in there. There's a lot of old stuff in there. Unlike Xbox Game Pass, it's less about brand new games on day one. So if I go into that catalog right now, you can see that you get stuff like Spider-Man Miles Morales. That was a PS5 launch game. That's pretty cool. If you have a PS5, you probably have that already. The latest Assassin's Creed game, the remake of Demon's Souls, Ghost of Tsushima, Red Dead Redemption, Guardians of the Galaxy. That was my pick for Game of the Year for 2021 just because the voice acting and the narrative and the scripting is so good. So, a lot of cool stuff. After this, it kind of settles down a little bit and you're getting, older games, Shadow of the Colossus, a Little Big Planet. So the further down you go, less exciting stuff. So if you have some holes in your gaming education or gaming history you want to fill, you can go through here and actually find a lot of really interesting stuff, but probably 75% of it you may never be interested in. Now for your $15 a month, you get ongoing access to this catalog, and much like Xbox Game Pass, Sony says they'll be adding new games to it on a regular basis, and frankly, some games can probably disappear from it after, let's say, a licensing agreement expires. So if something's in here, it does not mean it will always be in here. So the game catalog is really the only extra thing you get with the extra tier, but it's such a big part of it that I think it's definitely worth it. If you move up from extra to premium, that goes from $15 a month to $18 a month, and you do get some interesting bonus stuff with that. I'm not sure if it's enough to make you pay the extra every month for it. That's really up to you to decide, but I'm going to show you what it is, and you can figure out if this kind of stuff is up your alley. So number one, cloud streaming. Obviously, cloud streaming is very big in gaming right now. If you have your PlayStation sitting right here, you frankly don't need to do a lot of game streaming. You can just download games, but it's nice that some PS5 games, some PS4 games, some earlier games you can actually do streaming versions of. There's also some PC game access if you install a special Sony app on your Windows machine. That's a whole nother issue to go into, and maybe we'll circle back on that one later. The Classics catalog. Now this is separate from the regular PS4 and PS5 game catalog. This is actually older games, PlayStation 1 games, PlayStation 2 games. So it's part of the Classics collection. Yeah, cool stuff like The Last of Us Remastered, some Uncharted games, the original Resident Evil. I think this might be the director's cut of that. If you go down a little bit further, Ape Escape, okay, some Atari flashback classics. But a lot of the stuff are games that you've had access to on other platforms or in other ways for a long time. This is not the only way to play Bionic Commando or Arkham Asylum. That said, I did start going through here and say, oh, I want to look at that again, I want to look at this again, but I'd probably spend like 5 minutes with each of these games. Now, the other feature you get with Premium is something Sony is calling game trials. It's kind of like a demo for a game. I believe it's the full game, but it's a time-limited demo, and the time is different depending on which game you're demoing. Sometimes it's an hour, maybe it's 4 hours. After that, you have to buy the game if you want to keep going, or you can just say, okay, I played the demo and that's enough. There's only a handful of games in this time trial demo section right now. A couple of them seem like the kind of thing you'd want to demo maybe. The new Horizon game, Forbidden West, Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, that looks cool. Other than that, Cyberpunk is already kind of old Uncharted games. I don't know if anybody really needs to play a demo of Biomutant, but you can see that's the entire demo section as of right now, but I would be very interested in seeing this expand and getting more games in that. So that's kind of the differences between the three versions of PlayStation Plus. You got the Essential, you got the Extra, and you got the Premium. Now, Essential is kind of ground stakes, $10 a month, online gaming cloud saves, and a couple of free games. Again, if you were a PlayStation Plus subscriber and you were happy with that, you didn't want anything else, that continues as is. Obviously, the Extra tier, that middle tier, $15 a month, is the middle ground that most people are going to land on. You get more recent games in that catalog, including some really good stuff. You get a few other benefits. However, if you're a classic game player and you really like deep diving into old PS1 games, PS2 games, there's even PSP games, then there's the premium tier. That's the main reason you'd want to do that. Maybe the cloud streaming if you like that. I do like cloud streaming on consoles sometimes because You don't have to wait for a whole game to download to try it. You can just play it via the cloud for whatever, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And if you think it's really good, then you go and download it. But you don't necessarily have to do that first. It's almost like an instant gratification thing. If you are an average everyday PlayStation gamer like I am, like many people are, you're probably going to end up in that middle extra tier. That's the one that I'm going to recommend to you. But if you want to trade up, there's some extra stuff there, and you can always do it for a month or two, look through the catalog, see if there's anything you really like. And if there's not, you can go back down to extra or even down to essential if that suits your needs better. So I hope that's clarified some of the confusion about the 3 different tiers of PlayStation Plus and how they replace the old PlayStation Plus and PlayStation Now, which has been folded in. Maybe the landscape is just a little bit clearer now.